let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are making the Harlowe Crossbody by Cherelle patterns. This bag is gorgeous. I love it so much. I messed it up quite a bit, but that's okay. Definitely recommend having your piping foot. Just saying, maybe a thinner vinyl for your piping would be good. And make sure that your measurements are dead on because I have a little bit of a crooked flap. It's not that bad. But I had a blast making this. It was such a fun challenge. I did simplify it quite a bit. I left off a lot of extra hardware because I don't have it on hand. And I figured why not simplify it a little bit because you also may not have it on hand. So, super fun bag, bit of a challenge. Let's get into making it. And I am doing, honestly, a pretty simplified version of the bag. I love the look of the normal version of this bag. However, I don't have all the hardware on hand, and I figured you might not either. So I think this will be a really fun way to make it feel a little more approachable. I have to grab my magnetic snap. Dang it. Okay. Also need my edge coat. We have some pieces we'll be adding edge coat to. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with our flap. I'm doing quite a bit different with this. I also don't think I have a super fresh bobbin, so I don't want to do too much and get to a point where I'm like, oh no, I can't do anything more. So we'll go ahead and start by attaching magnet. I've got magnet area marked out. I decided to interface my lining instead of my exterior. My exterior already has a lot of structure, being a thicker vinyl, so I didn't want to add to it. So I wanted my lining to have a little bit more to it. So I went ahead and added the Deck of the Light to the Renew canvas, and it feels incredible. So since I'm not doing the beautiful front piece with the buckle and the little hang down, which really give this pattern a unique and beautiful look. Like, I'm not denying that. Like I said, didn't have the hardware. So I decided to do a little strip for the front, and I'm going to cut away some of the bulk on this accent so that when I go to add binding around the edges, it's not quite as thick. The vinyl I'm using is not going to be adding that much thickness, but just in case, we'll reduce it because we can. So I'm going to mark the center. And add a strip of tape. don't think it's centered. So. Should be about 3.5 from either side. Okay, so I'll start from down here. Stitch length at 4.5. I'm just going to do 1/8 of an inch from the edges. Okay. And then right sides together. And I'm going to stitch around so that nothing shifts. Alrighty. And then I think we need to make a mark. ½ inch. A subtle ½ inch. Okay, and then I think I cut mine just a little bit longer. No, I cut it exact. All right, we're gonna start with the bottom side first, whatever works for you. We're gonna hide our little piece of tape. Okay, line that up there. And just go slow. And we're gonna kind of stretch it a little bit. And then she also recommends you can add a little bit of glue to some sections. Okay, and then I've got a little bit of excess here. So I'm going to trim that off. Oh no. I hope that's not why I had a little bit of extra, but could have been. Okay. Okay, so as we work our way around here, I will be clipping, and I'm just pulling untaping, stretching that around. Ugh, this vinyl is perfect for this. So really I'm stretching, trying to make sure that all that sits nice and flat. Okay. Oh my gosh. So pretty. All right, so we'll top stitch that. I'm just going really slow, watching that inside edge. Yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to use a thick vinyl for this binding. Cork would be really good. So we had one little boo-boo right there, but it's not bad. I'm not really sure what happened though, because my stitching isn't bad. It just seems like maybe the bobbin Oh, the needle hit like right at a little area, but I think it looks good. I'm very happy with that, and it's so pretty. So moving on from there, let's see what else we need to kind of prep. Our strap connectors. And then there's this little tiny piece that we've cut out to back it. So we're gonna stabilize our strap connector with this. Place that in the center. And then you can clean these up if you've got any extra Decaville light hiding around them. And then you could still add those flap accents. They're so cute. They just add like a little bit of visual difference there, but I don't think it's necessary. So I'm just kind of reading ahead to see what, if anything, I need to do for the strap connectors. And if we want to edge coat them, but it doesn't look like we do. Okay. So we'll go back to the back panel construction. So we've got this piece here. These are the front panel pieces. Lower back panel lining. Oops. Oh no, there's a little defect in the vinyl. Dang. Just making sure I have all my pieces. Front panel, okay. These are the, so I need the upper back panel, lower back panel lining, and then we'll need that pocket piece. And then I'll move back to the front panel. Okay. Make sure our print is in the right direction. We'll clip that together, and then this is a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And then we're going to top stitch with that seam to the top so that we're top stitching on our accent vinyl. got our back panel pocket. With a 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, and then we can 1/8 inch snips to the top curve. And that'll just help everything sit nicely. Press along that edge. You probably could even add some piping to that edge if you really wanted to, and that would be really pretty. All right, and then we're gonna just top stitch across the top edge of that. Okay, so that's ready, but we need to add our flap first. So that's going to get placed two 2¼ inches. So lining and flap together, wrong sides up, because this is going to get sewn on and then flipped up like that. Ah. Two and a quarter, you say? Well, looky here. Don't I have the most perfect ruler for that? So just in case, I'm going to go ahead and apply some double-sided tape right there. I'm going to find the center. Again, flap. I have it kind of upside down from the illustration, but okay. So it says there should be a 1 3/8 inch from the edge. Yes. And yes. So we're going to sew it at a 1/4 inch. So just a little ways past the foot, only on the flap. Okay. And we're going to flip that up and top stitch that at a 3/8 inch. And it is okay, yes, that you see where your piping kind of starts and stops binding. So pull on that really, really well. And then if you need to mark out that 3/8 you can, but this is going to cover your stitching. Okay, there's that. And then we'll lay this on. And that covers up all that. Okay, well, I'm already obsessed with this, so that's great. All right, chances are I'm probably not adding any edge coat to any pieces. I'm like, nah, it's fine. This is actually quite a bit smaller than I thought it would be, but also keep in mind, we barely have it together. You know, that's one side, and it's got a gusset, so. I'm just cleaning up my pieces as I go. All right. So, since I'm not edge coating this, I'm just going to take a lighter to clean up the fuzzies. And then I need to, okay. On the front, we need to add our magnet. Yeah, okay. Part of me is wondering if I can add a nameplate or something to this pocket to kind of hide that glitter mishap in the vinyl. But I think it might look a little strange. Maybe. Yeah, no, I feel like it might look a little weird. I was like, did I use all my nickel nameplates? There's no way. No, I just needed to refill them. Alrighty, let's see. I really think that this is going to be the only place that a nameplate will look decent. So that's what I'm going to do. And then if you are worried about this being raw edge with your lining and whatnot, you can kind of change the way you sew it. But it should be all right. Like right now, I can't really mark the center, but I'm gonna. You could use an erasable one, but use this one. So maybe we'll measure 3/4 of an inch up from the center. Now, if you are doing the pattern the normal way, you wouldn't really want your name tag here because the flap accent kind of hides this location. Alrighty, so now we're gonna top stitch, these 2 pieces together, and then I may have to trim my lining to be a little bit shorter so that it doesn't poke through. Yeah, that's okay though. So we're just gonna do quarter of an inch. Same little snips, don't snip through your seam your stitching. I guess technically if you wanted like a little bit of piping, you could not roll that under as much as it needs to be. Top stitch. I almost wondered too if you could possibly, I don't know, like use that little bit of binding, that vinyl binding on this part too. But if your machine can't handle thickness, would not be the best idea. Okay, so all that excess, I'm gonna cut away right now. So now we'll add this to our front panel, and then I'll start prepping my piping. I didn't do that earlier. Did I not mark my center? Guess not. Well, how perfect. Measure 1.25 inches up from the bottom edge. Okay, I can do that. Okay, so we're gonna stitch at an angle across the edge, and then I'm gonna back stitch up and down and back up. Oh shoot. And then slow and steady around that curve. Keeping a consistent 1.25. Close to the top, we're going to angle, back stitch, and then complete that stitch upwards. And stitches to the back. Okay, so before I go any further, there were some fold 2 lines I needed to make 5/8. Oh, 1 inch, okay. And then when you do this, if you still have that pattern piece, you can just measure 1 inch. Move the pattern piece down. Haha, I do have it. Move that down the 1 inch and trace that curve. Instead of giving yourself like a huge headache, trying to get it really straight. And this one, just measure 1 inch. Okay, so front prepped, back prepped. All right, so I need to create my piping before I can move on, although I kind of want to do my inside zipper pocket, but we'll get there. Okay, I'm gonna start at an angle to secure the piping in there. because you should switch to a color that matches, I'm not worried about getting super close to the piping right now, because I know when I sew it in place, I'll get it. All right, I cut these longer than they needed to be, but I can trim it down. I just wanted to have it a little bit longer than I needed it to be. And I mean, of course, if you really wanted to, you could just use pre-made piping. But I was really excited for the opportunity to try something new. A new material. They're so pretty. Okay. No crossbody strap yet, because I want a full bobbin when I do it. Okay, so buckle strap, strap ends, strap keepers, all those things would need to be addressed if you're doing those. But we can... Okay, retrieve your 20" piping. Okay. Step 10, page 15. Measure 1 inch. So okay, trim the cord inside by about 1 1/4 to ensure a smooth finish. All right. That's so funny that it's like, hey, you got your, oh wait, this is the back panel. I didn't do it on the back panel. Great. I'll do both. Dang it. For some reason, I thought this was all applied to the gusset, which I feel like you could technically do, but maybe not. Alrighty. So there should be 2 that are 20 1/4. So you're gonna pivot it, you're gonna snip the excess out. And that's where that gets turned. Oops. So a little bit much on the other side, but that's okay, because I can still hide this in the seam allowance. Either way though, it's so pretty. And then you'll cut that excess piping out of your seam allowance. Oof, oh my gosh. The way it just sits. Amazing. Okay. A little snip where it starts. Yep, there it is. Okay. Just trimming that extra bit off. Yeah, it's looking so good. Okay, this bobbin is not full. So again, still not making my strap. So on one of the pieces, we've marked according to the pattern for where our piping will start and stop. So I'm just trimming away that excess piping in that area. Piping cord. Sorry. Okay, and then we'll get this tapered. I was like, where is the mark? Okay. It should be okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and repress that down. Okay, we're gonna sew that together at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Okay. 3/8. And this might be a bit much, but you want to just be right next to the piping. As much as you can. And then we're going to make a measurement and add some double-sided tape and trim down some of the seam allowance. So I'm just stretching this just a bit to match. Okay, and you can see my seam allowance jumped a little bit. That's okay. I'm going to do it again. But luckily, when you put that together, the binding is so thick, or the piping is so thick that it's not going to matter, but here's what it looks like in that seam. I need to get it tighter because, like, I mean, it's not terrible. The seam might sit okay, but I'm going to get closer. So I'm worrying a little less about the seam allowance and a little bit more about how close I am to that piping. I'm a professional, y'all. Okay, it's so much better there though. So I gotta do it. Okay, I messed up a little bit right here. It's okay. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Oh boy. There we go. We are going to trim down the seam allowance here in the middle. And then we're going to open up the side seam to attach our strap connectors. What a mess. Okay, so we're going to make a little snip just above piping area, and then we'll add some double-sided tape to help us open up that seam to add our strap connectors. And I'm just going to start with one strap connector at a time because my tape could end up like lifting. So we'll grab some tape. And I really don't want to add any tape where my D-ring connector is going to be, or where the D-ring will be, I should say. And then I think depending on the thickness of your vinyl, you may just omit that Decaville light, but it will help with your stability over time. So pros and cons there. Okay, so a 1-inch line across the top and the center. And we'll add a little bit of tape to the back side of the connector. And that is where we will line up the top of the connector. And then we're gonna go real slow around this baby. Woo! And then you wanna keep your threads nice and long. And if you need to use a matching thread, it'd probably be for the better. So I'm going to backstitch one. You can see I'm going in the opposite direction, but that is so I can clear my hardware. And then begin to go around. And then we're definitely going to rivet through all of that as well. Threads to the back. And this one, you really want to make sure that you tie those off really well. Because this is going to hold the weight of your bag. These are very important. All right, and then I'll make a mark where I'll rivet through. And just be really careful when you punch that hole. I wish I had like hot pink rivets. How freaking fun would that be? And now we can repeat that on the other side, peeling our tape back and pressing open that seam. And then our hardware piece. Not doing all of the excess hardware feels like a bit of a cop-out, but I'm actually really loving the results, so it's okay. We're hiding that tape. I also imagine it takes like half the time to make without all the extras. And it's already midnight. Lining that up to the center, 1 inch. Nice long threads. And I'm starting at the bottom of my connector so that I know how far up I can go. And then back stitching out of there. And then we're going to go slow. And then I'm tying those off. So overall my piping is a bit of a mess, but I don't think it'll look too bad in the end. I think it's too pretty, glittery, and shiny to matter, but probably using a little bit thinner of a vinyl would have been better. Not that it's a super thick vinyl, it's just like a normal 1mm, but it does have that thicker surface. Okay, so hopefully those threads aren't going anywhere. I'm going to add my rivet. Alright, I think I want to finish the lining before I make the exterior. And that way I can use up what I have. Okay, I was like, what is this? Back panel lining. Oh yeah, we're good. So let's go ahead and measure 1 inch down from the top edge like this, 1 inch on our lining, and then 1 inch for the lining front panel, and still have that pattern piece handy so that I can trace that swoop. Okay. And then for the zipper pocket, it seemed pretty straightforward when I glanced at it. This is going to go on the back panel. So we're going to trace on the wrong side. I'm going to just do 1 inch from all sides. And then 1/2 inch down. Yeah. And then I will line this up centered. Sadly, my lining has a little bit of a dirty spot, but again, I get the Yuck fabrics. Okay, I'm going to do this 0.75. Again, I should read the instructions, but it's already been a long day. And we're not turning the bag through any kind of zipper pocket, so it doesn't matter to leave like a big enough opening or anything like that. I think this is a respectable pocket size. So we're just going to snip that, cut to the corners of the thread without cutting through the thread. This is why I love having these Kai scissors. They're extra sharp. I just keep them handy. And then press that down. This is something I love about the Renew canvas, is you can so easily just kind of finger press that. And it's straight. Okay. So what I do is I just hold on to my zipper tape while I stitch around that opening, and then I pull my zipper pull in with enough space. I will say there's no shame if you need to tape it down, though. I've just done this like 4 million times. All right, so once I get most of it top stitched, that's when I will pull the zipper pull in. Because now the majority of my zipper has been sewn nice and straight without any disruption. Oh, crud. That's okay. My zipper pull's going in the wrong direction, but that's fine. Either way. Okay. That's good. And then we'll fold that up, clip it, trim your excess zipper tape down, and we'll sew in a U shape around. Dang it. All right, U shape starting over here. No, starting here. I was gonna sew across the bottom, but I need to sew across the top. And the bottom can stay unsewn, but if you're worried about stress on the seam or anything like that, you could sew it twice. I think we're gonna be okay. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. So yeah, like I said, the zipper's going in the wrong direction, but it is not the end of the world at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and start lining up with right sides together. The lining gusset will mark the top, we'll mark the center, and then the other top. And then we'll ease the curve into place. Just gentle little snips. And then we're going to start with 3/8 inch, pretty sure. Double check. Three-eighths. Yep, gradually increasing to half. I was gonna say, I read over the pattern, but just never know. So increasing to that 1/2 inch seam allowance is going to ensure that your lining sits nicely inside the bag. It's going to be just a tad bit smaller, and that is what you want. And then as we approach the top, bump that back to that 3/8. Trim your seam allowance down. We're going to make a little snip at that 1 inch line. And trim the seam allowance here down. If you would like to, you could stitch that twice up against that seam allowance so that it's nice and secure. Okay. And then you can add some double-sided tape to open or to lay that seam flat. And then while this is flat as well, I'm going to apply the double-sided tape right above that 1 inch line so that when we put the lining together, we can just easily fold it. Right sides together. Oh, okay. I was like, that doesn't look like the wrong side, and it wasn't. Good catch. All right, and then we are going to be sewing it with a gusset face up. Just want to get those pieces lined up first. Oh, I need tape on my side gusset too, eventually. Okay. Starting at 3/8. Slowly increasing to that 1/2 inch. If you never comfortably make it to the 1/2 inch, but you're at least a little bit bigger than 3/8, it will be okay. Okay, and then slowly decrease back to 3/8, and then we'll trim our seam allowance down. It's such a cute little bag. I thought it was bigger, to be honest with you, but it's adorable, man. Okay. Little bits of tape in places. I love a drop-in lining like this, by the way, so much. Okay. And then we are going to need to add little snips along the front panel, but not very deep, just little ones. I'm not going to tape this down just yet. I'll tape everything down at once, but I just want to make sure that we got those curves. So our lining is complete. We can trim down our zipper just a little bit more. And then I would recommend not exhaling when you get your lighter going, but just to help keep that from fraying. So cute. Dying. All right. Front panel first or back panel first? I don't know. All right, we do need to mark our 1-inch lines along the side here. We already marked the other fold 2 lines, so we don't have to worry about that. I am terrified to put this together. For a second I was like, wow, go me for not snipping my centers. What the heck is wrong with me? But I did. All right, so I'm really gonna have to like push against my machine because I don't have a piping foot. And if I do, it's somewhere that I don't know off the top of my head. Okay, so we're gonna clip this all together. And it doesn't seem like I need to snip into the seam allowance, but I think it's because of that piping. It just kind of sucks it all to the size it needs to be. All right, I'm going to decrease my stitch length to like a 4 while I do this, and then 3/8 as best as we can. Slow and steady. I will say too, I used to use piping constantly on bags, so I'm not scared of it. Okay, probably should have stapled my seam together. I didn't think about the fact that I'd be fighting the structure that the piping is giving to put this together. Like this seam up here better. So this bag is not, like, this technique is not difficult. It's the materials that I've chosen that are making it difficult for me, in case you're watching me kind of struggle more or less and thinking like, well, I want nothing to do with that bag. No, this is all me. This is what I've done to myself. Okay, and then I wanted to make sure I really caught the edge of that piping in the seam. Okay, and then we'll trim just below that piping. It's not great in one area, but could be worse. So we're going to trim this down. And if I can see a line of stitching, I don't want to cut through it. I think it looks okay. My piping installation is uneven, but I'm okay with it. Wow. It's so cool how much, I mean, it's like underwire. I don't know how else to describe it, but like this piece right here is just like so sturdy. Anyway. Did I not mark the center of the bottom? If I did, I can't find it. Okay, so we'll clip that together. And again, you're gonna wanna sew this with gusset up. And you might be thinking like, hey, wouldn't your cylinder arm make that a lot easier to top stitch or sew on? Maybe, but this really isn't, I don't know, it's not hard. It just kind of looks like it. And I think it's the size of the bag that almost makes it not hard. Like the curves aren't too drastic. They're very gentle, sloping curves. I'm just glad I didn't use a thicker vinyl for like the gusset. Woo, that would be nuts. Okay. Okay, 3/4 of an inch. Nope, 3/8. Keep those lined up. Okay. What are the odds of that? Oh, jeez. Okay. Okay. So I could potentially be trying to use my screwdriver to help me with this, but I don't think it would give me as much help as I need. So that's why I'm using my fingers quite a bit, because I want to keep the curve. I guess stapling would help, but again, I'm, oh no. The bobbin got me right there. Did it break? No, it really ran out. Almost threw away the bobbin case and the bobbin. What am I doing? Breathe. Okay, for half a second I was like, oh, my flap's on backwards. Cool. No, it's not. It's fine. I hope I don't have holes that are too noticeable in the vinyl though. But it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. So we'll just start back up a little bit above where we left off. It'll be okay. Luckily, after this, it's top stitch and strap, which I can do. I mean, I'm doing this, but you know. Unfortunately, I don't care to check how my piping looks, but I should. But I'm not going to. Okay, trimming that down. I'm going to trim it from this side so that I can see stitch lines. This one will be a little bit harder though because I do have the slip pocket stitching. But like all that bulk you're cutting through would just be in your seam allowance, adding bulk to the bag that you really just, you don't want. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Whew. I might make my strap before I begin this journey. So I'm taping this first, but really I should turn it before I tape it. Just scared. And similar to the other curve of the bag, you just want to snip a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. Just to help it crossbody strap, which I could do in my sleep. Watch me mess it up. The pattern, like I said, includes a really beautiful strap with buckles, etc. And I'm like, yes, it's incredible. I love that style, but not me. I'm just simplifying it because you can. But if you want to learn a new skill and you have all the time in the world and not a 4-year-old with a headache who won't go to bed or take any medicine and only wants mom. So it takes you even longer to make a bag. And that's okay. It's not forever, but it is right now. Okay. So we're just pressing that down. I'm sorry, this is my favorite vinyl in the world. Just the way it feels, the structure, the thickness is so good. Okay, bumping up my top stitch length back to like 4.5. Next stitch. It's also good for your machine to kind of let it run that fast so it can get the oil circulating throughout. Bummer. My underside strap is, oh no, they're both good. Okay. So I'm gonna rivet this strap in place. I do like the look of it. It's so clean in the end. No extra stitching. So I think I'll add 2 rivets to one end and then just 1 rivet around the slide adjuster. You just want to make sure that your holes are not too big for your rivets so that if your vinyl were to stretch over time or anything like that, it's not going to pull through. All right then. And then make sure that your caps, your rivets aren't crooked. All right. And I like to start with the slide adjusting portion, but you can start with the other side if you want. I just find it's so much easier to do it this way. Okay, and then I'm gonna clip this up and just add 2 rivets on this part of the strap. And they have all kinds of different tools out there you could use to measure the distance for those. But I just eyeball it. Whoop. A snap hook fell off. Okay. Yeah, that looks really nice. It's time. So we'll start with our lining. Start with the gusset pieces. Peel that tape back, open that seam, press it flat if you can. You don't need to peel all the tape for the main parts yet, just kind of get it started. And when you have trouble peeling your tape, I like to do what I call like a press and smoosh, smoosh and peel, where I will press down on the tape and peel the paper in the opposite direction. Easier said than done. Takes some practice, but not impossible. Now that those are done, we can then peel the tape in other areas and begin to press all of that down. Now, you do not need to turn your lining right side out. Your lining should be wrong side out. Your exterior needs to be turned right side out. Okay, okay. And I purposefully wanted my zipper pocket lining in that top seam. I think it's going to give it a nice structure. And I am just clipping around this top edge for now. All right, and now we're at the lining here. And you want to start kind of in the center and line that up. And slowly pull on your fabric to stretch it to where it needs to go. Gradually. Okay. Just kind of press that. Yep, everything looks good. And now we gotta turn this. You're gonna be okay. Yeah, the piping is not fantastic, but again, too thick. I probably should have used the glitter for the gusset and the roses for the piping. It would have been easier. But my hope is that things will just kind of sit the way they should, and it does not look like that. Ew, what happened? It's so crooked. I'm gonna cry. Well, the back looks really good. Let me take a good look at the front. Okay, no, it's not as bad as I thought. Yet. Why are you crooked? Why do you seem crooked? Maybe the flap? Maybe the flap is crooked? No, something happened somewhere. Something bad is happening on this bag. It could be when I was sewing the front panel on, something twisted, or my flap. I don't know. I kind of wish it sat like that, but it sits like that. So it's quite crooked, to say the least. Maybe it could get better. We'll see. Just went ahead and peeled all the tape this time because it can't get any worse, essentially. Okay. The nameplate isn't centered. This is unhinged AF, but it might be okay without a nameplate. Who made that bag? I have no idea. So I just used a little bit of alcohol to remove the ink pen lines from the holes. And now they don't exist. So it's a little less crooked because there's no nameplate to make it obviously crooked. Shh. Shh. Don't tell anybody that I did that. They're gonna know. They're gonna know. Okay, last piece of tape. And then I'm gonna add tape to put it all together as well so that nothing shifts while it all gets put together. We're gonna press open the side seams. Nice and flat up against the tape, and then fold down. I'm starting with the side panel, bringing that down, and then we can come around to the front slowly, pressing in the middle. And what's nice is we've got that Decaville light to really press the top edge against. So we'll know where it needs to be because of that Decouville light. And you'll know you can't go any lower because you've got that Decouville light there. Okay. It's so cute. And like I said, that the Decouville light really kind of does you a service if your piping isn't fantastic by sitting your bag in the shape it needs to be. So that's pretty cool. All right, we're gonna get some tape. I almost said some satted tape. Get yourself some satted tape. And I'm taping that below the seam allowance. And then we're gonna lay this down into the bag. And I will get more tape, but I'm gonna start with this side. So lining up our side seam, replacing the clips from one side to both sides as I go. And honestly, you could also glue this and like leave it overnight if you really wanted to. Make sure nothing shifted. Goodbye. Okay, lining up those side seams nicely. I'm laughing because one of the other bags I have cut out for tonight might also whoop my butt right now. But at least I've made it before, so maybe not. Alrighty, so I've got that tape in place. Bink. Unclip. Because if you're having trouble lining things up, keep in mind that the bulk of the clip isn't going to help you. So you want to make sure you move it out of the way. But overall, I really like this lining fabric with the materials chosen for the exterior. Right now it's not clipping because I've got those clips in place, but yeah, something about my flap is a little bit crooked. Maybe it's my accent piece. Like if that weren't there, it wouldn't be quite so obvious, but no, I think it's gotta be something that's shifted because the flap should be like right there. And it doesn't look crooked in that way. Maybe it's my magnet placement on the back side, or like maybe I can train it. I cannot replace that snap. Like I took off my nameplate. That'll be a little more noticeable, but yeah, it's like 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 to 1/4 off. Bummer, that's okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and top stitch this now. sure the lining sits nicely in there, and it does really sit nicely. And then you can top stitch it whichever way you feel comfortable. Cylinder arm, like I said, is definitely going to give you a very nice result, but I don't want to switch in the middle of a bag, so away we go. And like, I feel pretty confident that I've got everything taped, so I'm not too worried. We increased our seam allowance by a bit, or our stitch length, not our seam allowance. Make sure your hardware is in the clear. And remember that this is a curve along the top. The thing that will also really help you is being able to see both the exterior and the lining. So you want to make sure that you're pressing that lining down to be flush with the top edge. And right now for me, I'm like, well, my flap's already crooked. It can't get any worse. And the flap covers most of the top stitching. So like, again, it can't get any worse. Okay, and then the rest is straight top stitch. No more curved edge. I'm pulling my thread to the front. And back stitching. So we'll reshape this bad boy. And like, everything looks really crisp and nice. That's just crooked. It's fine. But this is our simplified and slightly crooked Harlowe crossbody from Cherelle Patterns. I did not do it justice, but it is still really, really cute. I'm really glad actually that I didn't do it justice, because I would have been quite upset to have done all this work and have things look a little crooked, a little less than perfect. But I would overall, I would make this again. I would choose a thinner material for my piping. Maybe I would look for my piping foot, do that little extra bit. But I really, really love this slip pocket here. Nice zipper pocket. You've got a cute slip pocket here that would fit a phone. Well, maybe. All right, but that is it for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.